Hello fellow Kickstarters, my name is Jim Conrad and I am here to introduce you something I call the Rocket Rail. The Rocket Rail is a stable platform that you can use to mount various devices onto your sport motorcycle, to include Garmin GPSs, iPhones, and GoPro cameras. I'll be telling you a little bit about myself and some details on the Rocket Rail, and we'll go for a test ride so you can see how it performs in the real world. Hope you enjoy. For the last 16 years, I have been running a one-man company called Paleo-Tech Concepts, designing and manufacturing tools used in anthropology, paleontology, and the forensic sciences. Using the latest CNC technology, I craft precision measuring instruments for use in forensic labs, universities, and in the field. After years of designing specialized tools to fit the needs of my customers, I turned my knowledge of design and fabrication to the problem at hand and developed the Rocket Rail. Before we head out for our road demonstration, I want to give you a little bit of an idea of how the Rocket Rail is constructed and what kind of accessories you can expect to put on the Rocket Rail. What we have in front here is a Rocket Rail as you would receive it should you pledge, and a Rocket Rail that I've been using since first prototyping it. It's about 1,500 miles on my motorcycle. You'll see that the Rocket Rail is constructed with 1/4-inch aluminum, CNC cut. This has a bead blast finish, although I do expect to offer anodized colors, red, blue, black, being probably the three that I'll first offer. The Rocket Rail is CNC machine and has these integrated C-clamps on either side. Secures to your motorcycle on the fork bolts using these 440 hex wrench screws. I will be putting torque screws on the production version, mostly just to deter theft if you park your bike out in a public space and don't want to take the Rocket Rail off. Every Rocket Rail will have a Garmin ball mount. This is the ball mount that you get when you purchase a Garmin for the windshield. Same size. And that's secured using an 832-inch screw on the back, and that's easily removed and replaced with another mount if you have TomTom, Magellan, or you want to use some different device. My personal Rocket Rail, again, that I've been using on my bike for a little bit of time now, has a rock form puck on the right hand side and a GoPro mount on the left hand side. The rock form puck is kind of an ingenious little device. I really like it. This is my iPhone 5. You can see this is a rock form case. It has this ratchet system on the back, which allows you to clip the iPhone real quickly and securely onto any surface, in this case onto the Rocket Rail, and it's not going to go anywhere. A couple things I would like to point out. On the side you see a Contour HD helmet cam. This is a little bit of an older model compared to the GoPro Hero 3. I mention this because during the test ride you'll see footage from my helmet. This is going to be mounted on the right hand side, and the quality from the Contour HD is really a lot different than the GoPro is. The color saturation and the way that the GoPro handles the sun is much better than the Contour. I needed to point that out so that you know exactly what you're looking at. Something else that I'd like to mention, when I do mount the GoPro onto my Rocket Rail here, it does slip on nicely and locks in place using these little clamps here that you need to press to get it off of the mount. The GoPro, however, does have a little bit of sloppiness in its mount, and you can see that the camera wiggles just ever so slightly. I'm sure there's a way to fix that with a shim or some kind of padding on the bottom of the mount, but you'll see a bit of shake. It's not very pronounced on the ride. I'm going over some pretty bumpy roads, but compared to the helmet cam, I think you'll agree that the GoPro mounted on the Rocket Rail is video that's far superior than anything that you'll see on the side of a helmet. Moving on to the motorcycle, this is my Honda CBR 250R. And as I mentioned before, the way I developed the Rocket Rail was simply just sitting on a bike and trying to figure out a better way to mount my GPS than using the plastic gadgets that you can find on Amazon or eBay that clip to the handlebars or mirrors. Some of them even go to the fairing where you got to drill screws into the bike itself. I noticed that this bike in particular, and others like it, I know the Honda CBR 600s and Ninjas, Ducatis, Triumphs, Yamahas, all have these very prominent fork bolts that mount the handlebars onto the front of the bike, and they look like a perfect place to develop some kind of a plate, much like a strut brace on a sports car. And so after prototyping the rocket rail in acrylic, I cut my first CNC version out, which this is actually the very first one that I've ever made. I never had to modify it. The measurements were good enough and worked really well. And to mount the rocket rail, you simply slip it onto the fork bolts. Here's your Allen wrench to tighten it down. 2 screws, one on either side. And its mount. With this, you can attach various accessories. As I showed before, the Garmin snaps on. You can adjust the viewing angle. The ball is tight enough so that vibration isn't going to change the viewing angle. Snaps right off. GoPro, same thing. The view from the windshield, you may expect a little bit of glare, but I think after you look at the video, you'll be surprised at how little glare there is. The ride that I take actually takes into account the sun at various angles, and I think you'll be happy with the way it looks. Finally, even if you have the GoPro mounted, you can take your iPhone using the Rockform system, mount it right onto the rocket rail. You can use that to control your GoPro using the Wi-Fi system on a new Hero 3, or you can use it use Navigon, Google Maps, or stream music to your Bluetooth headset. If you have concern that the rocket rail and any of the mounted accessories might interfere with the function of the bike, turning left and right, be assured that you still retain full range of motion. You'll see this on the video as well. Rocket rail or the accessories do not interfere with turning the bike at all. Everything's kept out of the way. The instrument cluster is completely visible, and the ignition as well. So even with the accessories mounted, you can kill the bike. Certain bikes like the CBR 600 may require a slightly different type of rocket rail, which has a cutout for the ignition. There's other accessories that are on Yamahas or Ninjas that can be accommodated just by changing the shape of the rocket rail. Finally, removing any of the accessories, again, depending on what you have, easy as snapping them off. And demonstrate one more time. The ability to lift the front of the bike with just the rocket rail shows that it's on there securely. It's not going to go anywhere until you loosen it. Removing the rocket rail, as simple as loosening the hex nuts on either side. And lifting the plate off. The bike remains intact, no damage, no modification. Now for the fun part, actually hitting the road. You can see that the rocket rail is mounted just like it was in a previous segment. I can show you again, checking the left and right movement of the handlebars here. Retain full range of motion. It's a pretty nice day outside, about 20 degrees in northern Illinois. There's a little bit of snow on the ground, but nothing too bad. I actually don't ride during this time of year. I went out and took a look to make sure there wasn't any black ice. One kind of gray spot on the road. You're going to see a video that's about 12 minutes long here. I'm going to go through various segments with the sun to my back, to my left, to my right. I'm going to switch between the helmet cam and the rocket rail mounted GoPro. You can see the GoPro here is much clearer, just a little bit of reflection. The sun is actually off my left shoulder. I'm headed north right now, I'm going to be turning right up here and headed directly east. The sun is going to be to my back. There is a little bit of reflection off of the instrument cluster, slightly obscuring the forward view, but nothing too bad. I'm going to be turning right again and hit another road that's a little bit more of highway speed, 50-55 miles per hour, to give you an idea of what kind of vibration you can expect when you have your GoPro mounted on a rocket rail. So enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. checking out my Kickstarter project. If you think that it's useful, please contribute. Pledge $1, $10, or if you have a sport motorcycle, pledge $60 and I'll get you your rocket rail as soon as I can. This is Jim Conrad signing off.